Hello everyone, so I'm sure many of you have seen that the PBA Illinois Classic has been taking place and the finals were broadcast on Fox on Saturday the 10th of February 2024. I've done breakdown videos of the first two tournaments of the new PBA season where I've analysed the entire show match by match. This video is going to be a bit of a shorter one where I'll go through the main highlights and analyse key parts of each match. So without further ado, let's jump straight into match 1, where the 5th seed EJ Tackett took on Jake Peters. Peters had an opening strike, but EJ's start to the match wasn't the greatest with an early open frame in the second after he went through the nose for a 4 count. He left the 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10 and almost made it, but it wasn't to be. Peters makes it a double but goes inside on frame 3, but gets away with it with only a 4-pin standing, which he does spare. EJ then goes light on the right lane and hasn't managed to get going as of yet. However, his next shot is much better and it earns him his first strike of the match. Peters is looking very good and he does have a lot of room out there as he floats this shot further right, but it still comes back. He makes it a double and has a nice lead of 36 after 5 frames. EJ's 5th frame is an absolute disaster as he goes through the nose for the big 4. Now, this is just my opinion, but it seemed to be that Tackett was extremely concerned about how he was coming out of the ball, but I think really he just didn't put the ball in the right place on that lane. It looked inside all the way, and I think after going light, perhaps he felt he didn't have much room on that particular lane. So he's in pretty bad shape as he trails by 50 pins already. He makes a much better shot. And if we just briefly compare these shots side by side, you can really see the difference. The left lane shot, he pushes it out to the break point, but the right lane shot that left him the big 4, he was much straighter and a little bit further inside. But hats off to Jake Peters at this point as he just keeps going, throwing another strike. Now, he doesn't make a great shot on the left lane and leaves the 3, 6, 7, 10, but just look at this for a conversion. This could have really changed the momentum of the match with an open frame at this point. Although saying this, EJ does keep plugging along, throwing 2 more strikes to cut the lead to 36. Peters had this really odd shot that almost left an 8-10, but the 10-pin fell and the 8 wobbled but stood. He then throws a great shot, but this one is pretty much over after EJ leaves another 4-pin in the 10th, and Peters will advance to face AJ Johnson. Now to the start of match 2, and Jake Peters gets the match going with a strike as he decides to go with a ball change. AJ doesn't really have the best of starts, missing right, leaving the 1, 2, 4, 10, which he can't convert, and then leaves a 7-pin from a light hit. He's going with a Venom Shock on the left lane, and he'll be hoping it works for him better than it did for EJ. Peters puts the ball wide in frame 2 and it comes in light, leaving the 2-8 for a spare. Then he gets this pretty awesome break going high but trips out the 4 and the 10. AJ continues to struggle to find the pocket going light on his next 2 shots but does get away with it on the left lane to earn his first strike of the match. It was incredibly messy but they all fell down and that's what counts. So it's still pretty close after 5 frames with Jake Peters holding a 14-pin lead. AJ then decides to switch to the Venom Shock on the right lane as well, which looked to have a much better reaction as it easily made the pocket. So he continues to go with this same ball again on the left lane, and it's another great looking strike for 3 in a row, and now the lead has switched over to Johnson, who has a 6-pin advantage. Peters does manage to regain the lead with a strike, but a light hit in frame 7 leaves him a 10-pin. But AJ Johnson is looking very good now, and going with the ball change on the right lane, so he was using the same ball for both lanes, really did pay off. He's now got 5 in a row and a 17-pin lead. A 10-pin for Peters on his next shot, and then a trip 4 strike in the 9th does give him a chance in this match still. However, Johnson continues to fire with another strike, and now just needs a mark to win this match and advance. He does throw it way inside, but was quite fortunate to just leave the 10-pin, but made the spare, and that was enough for the win. Final score, AJ Johnson 234, Jake Peters 226. Match number 3, and AJ takes on Sean Lavery-Spahr, another motive guy who's also throwing the Venom Shock. His first shot, and he almost leaves a split, but just about kicks out the 10-pin. However, he actually misses the 2-8, and it does show the lanes are playing tight, as there's no real recovery from out wide. AJ continues where he left off with an opening double. Lavery-Spahr does strike in the second, but on the left lane he goes through the nose, leaving the 4-6-10, and this was possibly an over-adjustment from the previous shot on the left lane after he went light. It's another open frame for him, and he's already down by 35 pins. AJ can't take advantage as he leaves a split himself, and again it's the right lane that he's been struggling with, as it just looks to be playing extremely tight for him. There just isn't that recovery he's looking for from when he pushes the ball out slightly wider, and it's an open frame from him, but he does bounce back with a strike, with the messenger taking out the 9-pin. Lavery-Spahr follows up from a bit of a shaky start by making 2 really nice shots, and this was good to see him respond like this, but AJ Johnson is still well in the match with a double with a light hit, but his next shot is perfect, and it's 3 in a row for him, and more importantly, a 28-pin lead. Lavery-Spahr's looking quite good now with another strike, but I don't know what happened to this shot on the left lane. He just pulls it way inside. He was looking very good, but this shot just came out of nowhere, and it was so far inside, it didn't even hit Brooklyn. He does just about manage to pick up the spare. This is AJ's chance to really kick on, but his next shot wasn't the best. It was just inside and not a very good shot. He only just manages to pick up the 3-6-10 as he grazes the 3-pin. So both players are looking slightly shaky at times. AJ Johnson has the advantage, but he just can't close this one out as he leaves the 3-6-10 again on the same lane, and this time he does miss it, leaving the 10-pin standing, and it did look like it was going to chop all the way going down. Suddenly this changes the match, but he can still shut out his opponent with a double in the 10th. The first shot is very light, but he gets the pin action and they all fall over. The next goes high, but the 4-pin trips, and he's done enough to advance to the title match. Both of these shots weren't particularly pretty, but they fell. Lavery-Spahr put in a pretty decent performance after a bad start, but it just wasn't quite enough. And now we move on to the title match, and it's the number 1 seed, Marshall Kent, stepping in. AJ is up first, and he's sticking with the same ball, but leaves the 10-pin. Now we have our first look at Marshall Kent, who has had his struggles on TV in the past. His first shot looks great, but the left lane he gets quite a sharp reaction, and it goes high, leaving the 4-7. The right lane continues to be trouble for AJ as he leaves yet another split, the 2-4-8-10, and this will be an open frame. His next shot is through the nose, but does take care of the 3-6. Marshall Kent steps up and makes another excellent shot on the right lane, but he still hasn't figured out the left lane, however. The ball does come up to the pocket and the messenger heads over towards the 10, but the 10-pin remains standing. Once again, like the other matches, both players are struggling to string much together. Both lanes are playing very differently by the looks of it, and after a much better shot on the right lane, AJ then goes high for a 4-pin, and it's just stopping either player from gaining any real momentum at this point. Kent has struck twice on the right but goes high on his next shot, but he does figure out the left lane, getting his first strike. Another very light shot for AJ on that very difficult right lane, and he is fortunate to just leave a 2-pin, but he's just lost the pocket completely now with everything just struggling to come back. Both players are struggling in this one, to be honest with you, and it's another 3-6 lead for Kent, and he does chop it for an open frame in the 7th. A really bad time for an open, and could this be a repeat of his previous TV struggles? Well, he does pull himself together for a lovely strike on the left lane. Over to AJ, and he is just having an absolute nightmare on that right lane, and he just can't believe the ball isn't hooking for him. But Randy does point out in commentary that his ball speed has been increasing each shot, and he probably did need to get a bit softer with it on that lane. But look at this for a shot. This keeps him in the match, and although he has work to do, it's a clutch spare to give himself a chance. He really didn't like this next shot, as you can see, but the light hits are working for him, and it's a crucial strike in the 9th. And this just shows you that he does have that recovery on the left lane, but not on the right, and I don't think he was expecting this to come back. But now it's in Marshall Kent's hands, essentially, as to whether he takes home the title. He makes a clutch shot in the 9th, and now this sets up the 10th frame where he needs a strike and then 8 pins on his next shot. And these are just two brilliant shots from Marshall to secure the win. He really came up clutch after that open frame in the 7th frame. It looked like he was on the verge of throwing this one away, but he pulled himself together and made some fantastic shots to close out this match. So Marshall Kent is the winner, and that's his 6th PBA title. AJ certainly had chances in this one, but ultimately it was the right lane that was his downfall. It's so good to have these regular PBA title events shown on Fox. Again, this was my complaint last season that yes, we did have plenty of PBA coverage for the majors, which was fantastic, but really we had nothing on TV for any of the regular events. So it's great to see these shows on TV again, but the PBA action doesn't stop here, as we actually have the next 3 weekends of PBA events being shown live on Fox. Next up is the Pete Weber Missouri Classic, with the finals being shown on Sunday the 18th of February. I hope you all enjoyed my breakdown of this telecast, and if you'd like me to analyse the next PBA event, then just let me know in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time.